Okay.
Like you're talking to the audience.
Okay. So, hello, my name is Gianni, and today we're gonna make milk bread.
Say Japanese milk. Sounds fancier.
Okay.
Can you do one step to the right?
My right, your right? Hello, my name is Gianni, and today we're gonna make Japanese milk bread.
So, Corey.
Um,
That's recording?
Yeah.
Says recording?
Yes.
we're gonna do this again.
Yeah, I want to make sure that it is recording. Corey.
My name is Gianni. I'm an architect here in Philadelphia. And yeah, I like to bake. Step one is to make the tajong, which, if I'm saying that correct,
Tangzong?
a mixture of milk, water, and flour that starts in the stove. It gelatinizes, and then we'll mix that in with the rest of the dough ingredients later on. 3 tablespoons water, milk, and then 2 tablespoons of flour. Tiny whisk. Let the slow stove come up to heat, and then we're gonna whisk it constantly, and then it's gonna gelatinize, and you'll see. That will be done once, like, you can see streaks through the pot.
When did you get into baking?
Honestly, probably when I was a kid. I mean, you know, we lived together, and one of the only places to go was that Old World Bakery, right?
That's true.
And then that's just surrounded by lawn farms all over. So I don't know. I think as a kid, it's probably a little bit influenced by that. Which then, you know, you pair that with the fact that, like, I also had to cook for myself because I had working parents. You know, I put 2 and 2 together, and I guess that's, you know, that's probably why I started baking.
Did you learn from anyone?
A little bit. I would pick the brain of the people in Old World Bakery, but I wouldn't say they, you know, brought me in the kitchen and showed me. Like, you know, I just kind of like asked them, like, why, kind of like how you're doing with me. It's like, why did you do it, and what's the pleasure? And then my first restaurant job at Russo's, the Italian restaurant near us, there's an old man who did all the dough stuff for the day. So all the calzones, all the pizzas, all the breads for the cheeseburgers or cheesesteaks and all that stuff was all done by one guy, which I thought was you know, as a patron, I never thought that's how the system worked. But once I worked in there in the kitchen and saw how it worked behind the scenes, I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, oh, this one dude is doing all that stuff. That's crazy. He's probably the inspiration for my baking, I guess.
So why do you have to whisk?
You ever made like a roux for like a sauce? It's like the basis of sauces. Basically, it's like it's like kind of like developing like gluten, I think, a little bit. You know, like when you knead bread, right? It's to develop gluten. I think it's the same thing with this. I don't know the science. Just know it works. It's gonna get thick like a paste, and then once you can streak and see like the bottom of the pan, that's what I'm looking for. It's gonna come together, and it's gonna happen pretty fast. The heat's gonna like evaporate the water in the milk a little bit, and it's gonna thicken up. Okay, here we go. I understand all the different types of flour, like they just basically have different amounts of protein with it. Melting butter. Oh, damn it. I knew it. Ah. Let's start that again. Also, it's just gonna cook the exploded butter. This is optional, but it's milk powder.
As an option.
It's just like adding some like more milky flavor, like almost reminiscent of like a powdered milk. uh, Formula milk. I don't know if you ever tried that. Oh, I love putting my finger in formula milk and like just putting it in my mouth. It tastes really good. You can mix it by hand, you know, and when you start baking, I do suggest you do everything by hand because so much of it is by feel. You might follow a recipe exactly, but there's a lot of variables depending on like the humidity or like the type of flour you're using. Different flours absorb liquid a little differently, so I always suggest like doing it by hand for a while, and then once you get a hang of it and you know what you're looking for, and you have a mixer, you can graduate to the mixer. It just makes things a lot easier. On top of that, you can have that thing going while you're cleaning up and doing other things, which is nice.
Gianni, how long do you want to let it stir for?
Until it comes together. You want it to like be pulling off to the sides there. At this point, it's easy to start working with your hands a little bit. But it's still a little dry, as you can tell. So you gotta add a little by little. Say 1 tablespoon at a time. Add a little bit of milk.
You make this often?
Yeah, I do it pretty often. Something about that tajong, it's like makes it really soft and it's a little buttery, like a dinner roll. You can make it in different shapes, which is fun. And I just can eat it straight up. It's like, yeah, there you go. See that? We'll let it knead for like another 5 minutes or so. Might be better if I just knead this by hand at this point. So I put a towel down because it keeps the cutting board still. As I do this, of course, the whole table's moving. So I don't have a towel big enough for the table. But.
Eating is a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, it's kind of rewarding. The thing about the machine is that you're not like touching it. And like I was saying earlier, it's a lot about like the feel. Sometimes like it's hard to tell just by looking at it if it's done or not. You gotta like really feel like the stickiness of it, whether it's bringing back on you or not, how smooth it is. All these things kind of help inform you whether it's ready or not, or if it needs more water or more flour, you know. Is it too dry or too wet? And you know, to me, it's like, you work up a little bit of a sweat. It makes what you eat more rewarding, right? At the end. So now, just put this in a bowl to rise. In a warm place and let until it's double in size, which is about an hour and a half. Do you want to try, Amanda? This peanut butter whiskey?
I'll try a little bit.
Okay. I hear like there's like some cocktail I wanted to try with this. But I don't feel like looking up the recipe and trying. So we're just gonna do it straight up.
Yeah, you gotta taste it straight up.
Yeah, first. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
To Making it this far. Episode 1. The Fearon kitchen series.
Huh. Tastes like a.
Tastes like peanut butter.
It does taste like peanut.
Oh, actually, it's not that bad.
It's not like.
I thought it was gonna be worse.
Strong aftertaste or anything like.
Smooth.
Yeah.
It's
Tastes
just
like a
peanut butter
cereal.
cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It tastes like a dessert that had bourbon added to it, right?
Yeah. Just like a slight amount.
Yeah. It smells nice to me.
What was the first thing you ever baked?
It was probably bread.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So this old man Vito at this restaurant, right? He would come down first thing in the morning and make a huge barrel of dough that was probably the size of him, and he would just take that and any dish that required dough, you know, like a cheeseburger or a pizza or whatever, calzone, he would cut off a piece from that barrel, make it fresh. And so, but the one thing he did prepare for the rest of the day was he made rolls. So he taught me how to, you know, shape the roll. I mean, I guess he didn't show me how to make the dough. That's proprietary, I guess. But like, he showed me how to work with dough and shape it. So I'd say that's the first time I worked with dough and made bread. And then the first thing I actually baked from scratch was probably one of those boxed Betty Crocker things as a kid, you know, making muffins and blueberries and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's probably the first thing I baked. So it's been an hour and a half. Now it's time to whip it out. It's nice and fluffy. Degas it. Oh yeah. Look at that. Look at those indents.
Why are you doing that?
It just feels nice. All right. But yeah, now we gotta divide it into quarters. And if you really want to get precise, you can whip out the scale, which I kind of started doing just because we have this scale and I want to put it to use whenever I can. Roll it out onto 4 little balls. Never understood why like people like would roll the divided pieces into balls when they're just gonna reshape it later. But I think it's because the yeast is still like gassing up the bread, and so by putting it in a round shape, it like blows up evenly instead of sporadically. You can fold it into an envelope, roll it out. Like I had such high hopes of like all this like creative like things I would do being stuck at home all the time. Nope.
Nope.
No.
It's so easy to not do.
I'm gonna roll this out then. Burn.
You're gonna be talking, so that's why that one is the audio.
Okay. Yeah. So we're just gonna let this rise for another 40 to 50 minutes. 49. And then I'm just gonna put it back in. And then once it's done on doing its second rise, then we will bake it, and that'll be the final thing.
You got a favorite thing to make?
That's tough.
Frick.
Yeah, I mean, I like trying new things, so I'd say milk bread is probably my favorite thing to do. making pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah, pizza is really nice. Because it's kind of like a blank slate where you can paint on top of it with whatever experiments you want there. Of course, there's a classic, but you know, I think it's a very open-ended for you to get creative with.
So on that note, do you love or hate pineapple on pizza?
I'm indifferent. I think it's okay. I don't hate it, but you know, it's not my first choice either.
That's fair.
If it comes to me and it's there, I'll eat it.
It's a pretty neutral choice.
Yeah.
Neutral.
I mean, now that the dough in the pan is done proofing, all we gotta do now is put an egg wash to it and then pop it in the oven. So what I have here is 2 tablespoons of water, and we're just gonna crack an egg into it. It's gonna thin it out and it's gonna be nice and brushable. Okay. All right. So we're just gonna pop this in a 350-degree oven for 30 minutes.
What is something that you hate to bake?
Well, recently I tried English muffins. That was, and while the muffins were good, I liked them, they're a pain in the ass. I think generally the wetter the dough needs to be, the more pain in the ass it is. It's hard to work with. It's very sticky. But English muffins are, you know, the defining features, all those crackles and nooks and crannies and stuff. So it requires a lot of bubbles, and it means that the dough needs to be very wet and has a high hydration rate. So it's like sticky. it's a little on the wet side, so it's hard to shape.
I would not know. Probably would never know.
Yeah,
So
I don't recommend.
I'll buy them from the store.
Yeah.
Now, most important question: do you watch Great British Baking Show?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's very relaxing.
It is very relaxing.
Yeah. It's just like very nice at the end of the workday to see.
Every Friday.
Yeah, and you know, it's probably like one of the first game shows I've seen anyway that where like people are not so hyper competitive against each other, and that's kind of nice, you know.
It's not American.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know, probably the first time you see contestants helping each other out, even though they're in competition.
Very friendly.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting to see how everyone tackles their challenges, you know. In a way, it kind of reminds you of college and architecture studio. You give them one prompt and you get 12 different results.
It's a unique way to look at the Great British Baking Show.
What would you recommend, like if someone is not typically a baker, but they want to like just try something, like what would you recommend they just try to get in there?
Well, as a kid, Betty Crocker is pretty easy gateway to, you know, see if you're even into baking, you know. I know, like for me, it's always quick and easy, but after a while of doing that, you know, you start wondering like, all right, what's the nice challenge now? You know. And I also recommend to do everything by hand.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how attractive is Paul Hollywood?
Attractive?
Now.
7.
7?
Yeah.
I'd say 7.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
About 7.
7.
I don't think you'll see this though. I don't think I'll take any.
I don't know, man.
Well,
A lot of time at home now, I'm sure. But you might see this.
Scouring YouTube for amateurs.
Yeah.
All right, what's your sign off to the world?
Jeez. Hey, man. when life gets tough, like this year has been, you know, I think it's important to kind of like have your little hobbies and outlets that bring you happiness and, you know, joy that you can do at your own time. And for me, that's baking. You know, there's a ceiling of skill when it comes to baking that, you know, you can always keep working towards. So it's nice to keep working on that craft. It brings me, you know, it's kind of therapeutic for me, and you know, maybe it is for you too.
It's a wrap.